I just thought I'd make a quick second video about the types of experiences or things that most people will have during a juice cleanse or a juice fast, just to give you a bit of an idea if you don't already know. It's certainly very variable for a lot of people. So if you have any different experiences, then please feel free to share them below. And certainly during the next week, for anyone who's on the fast, we encourage you to use this forum to share your experiences, your anxieties, your biggest challenges or your biggest wins, whatever it might be, because chances are everybody else is feeling the same way at some point, and it's just good to know that you're not the only one going through something, because it is a pretty big thing to do. So we're so used to having our 3 meals a day, or 4 or 5 for some people, with snacks and everything. So doing a fast is not necessarily difficult from a physiological point of view. The reason we do it with juice is because you still get lots of energy and nutrients. So it means we can keep doing our day-to-day things like going to work and looking after kids. If we were going to do a really much more serious fast, which would be a water fast, we have nothing but water for a week or more, then if you did that, you would really need to tone down the rest of your life, because you just won't have the energy that you normally would to continue going. So this is a sort of a happy medium for, normal people who need to keep going about their normal lives. But it is a big thing because we are so used to having those meals. And part of the difficulty is not actually having the juice or dealing with hunger, which is what a lot of people think it's going to be. Part of the difficulty is just having a different habit and a different routine for several days. And so one of the things that's really key is preparation. If you can do all of your juicing for that day or the next probably 2 days, juices will keep for, then, that's a really good way to make life easier for you. And we usually make 2 or 3 different juices at a time, just so we've got some variety, because it can get a little bit monotonous. One of the things that people usually find is not that they don't like the juice, but that they just miss eating something, miss chewing on something, and miss the routine of sitting down at the table and using their knife and fork. And they all seem like silly things right now, but believe me, if you do this week, you'll start to realize after a few days just how normal and how bizarre it is to miss something that you didn't even know you enjoyed. So that's probably one of the first things that people experience is the feeling that it's maybe not what they expected, that the juicing itself and the juices, actually drinking the juices isn't a difficult thing, but the process of changing your habits and changing what you would do is quite interesting. And what's really, really nice about that is it actually frees up so much time for you. When you think of all the time we spend shopping, cooking and preparing our meals, and then actually sitting down at a table, hopefully, to eat those meals, if you take that out of a week, that could be 5, 10, 15 extra hours that you've just gained just from trading that in for standing at the juicer for 20 minutes. And it's actually incredible when you've got all that extra time to think, well, what am I going to do now? If you don't have kids, when we do this, I still have to prepare meals for my kids and make sure that they eat and wash their dishes and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have kids, and even if you do, you still get a bit of extra time, then you'll really notice that, it's nighttime. All I have to do is drink this, and now what do I do? And you actually have all this extra time, which is really well invested, during this fast, in maybe reading more about fasting, reading about people's experiences, reading any book really, meditating, just taking some time to be inward and, be conscious and think about this journey from a different point of view, and not necessarily just, taking back the time to watch TV or something like that. So that's a really, really positive extra experience that people have. From the point of view of the physical experiences that people have, they're so varied, and it's just good to go into it knowing that really anything could happen, and to just be open and know that whatever happens is positive, and to be accepting of the fact that it will pass. Nobody's going to die, nobody's going to starve to death, nobody's going to be worse off from doing this. But there may be a time when, not having your normal coffee or your normal whatever it is that your body's used to having might result in whether it be anxiety or whether it be stress or whether it be a headache or whether it be, it could be literally be almost anything. The most common things that people will experience after, you know, day one's easy because you're excited, you're all there. After a couple of days, maybe day 2 or day 3, people sometimes start to experience headaches. It's a really good thing. Your body is detoxing during this process. So like we spoke about in the first video, when your body's just drinking juice, and juice takes all the, you know, all the good nutrients and everything, but there's not a lot of substance to it, so it's very easy for your body to digest, and it does go through quite quickly because it's quite sugary. Even though we suggest having a very high ratio of vegetables to fruit, it is quite a, you know, it's going to be a naturally and healthy sugary drink, so it will flush through you quite quickly. And just the fact that it's doing that means that it's releasing it's helping your body to release lots of toxins that have been stored. Your body starts to tap into those stored fat sources that we talked about in the first video as well. And that means that toxins get released and things start circulating through your system that haven't been before. And that can also cause some side effects in terms of headaches or just feeling a bit yuck or feeling a bit sluggish. But that's, you know, after a couple of days. And then you get to the other side of that. And those days when you're not feeling, you know, 100% are the days that you'll want to quit. But it's really important to persevere and get to the other side of that, because when you get to the other side, all of a sudden you feel fantastic. You know, your body just gets rid of what it needs to get rid of. And once that's gone, it's just got this amazing ability to tap into energy stores that you didn't even know you had. And so what a lot of people experience is they have this kind of, yeah, I feel great, I'm so excited. Then they, you know, just all of a sudden their body gets to a critical point and nosedives. But if you persevere and keep going past there, then you just soar to new levels that you've, you know, maybe didn't even know that you could get to. And all of a sudden, what a lot of people experience is that they have higher levels of concentration, higher levels of consciousness, you know, the ability to really connect and to feel parts of their body that they hadn't been in contact with necessarily for years and years. Digestion is a really key one. A lot of people have sluggish bowels because of our modern diets and you know, the pollution in the air and some of the things that we can't necessarily avoid even if you do eat really well. And so just creating an environment of simplicity in your body alone gives many of your systems the chance to thrive in a way that they might not have for a very long time. And so a lot of people will experience very strange bowel movements. They'll start feeling things in other areas of their body that they may have been disconnected to for many years. They might start feeling, you know, there's just so many examples, but you know, if you're someone who classically gets bloated from food or classically feels, you know, a certain way after certain types of foods, you might notice that your digestive tract starts to work in a different way, and you know, start to connect to areas of your body in a different way as well. So people will no doubt experience some sort of form of diarrhea, and it's a liquid diet, so it stands to reason that there will be a liquid output. So what's really interesting about that is there's usually a period of you know, 2 or 3 days where your stools are quite normal, which is quite unbelievable when you think about the fact that you haven't been eating. It's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in there for a lot of people that hasn't had the opportunity to come out. We've just had this constant, you know, sort of process of filling up as we're emptying out, and we never get a chance to actually clear everything out. And once you get past that point, then you might notice runny stools for a few days. And what will ultimately happen with a lot of people is they'll then go back all of a sudden to a much harder, you know, like sticky, almost like the, you know, baby's first meconium poo that they do, just like a, I don't know, inexplicable just void. And that is a wonderful thing, because that could be all sorts of gunk that's been building up in your intestines for goodness knows how long, which all of a sudden, with nothing else to digest and nothing else to think about, your body finally has the chance to release and to void. And that's when people will start feeling absolutely on top of the world and fantastic, because the amount of burden and the amount of impact that something like that alone has on your entire system is, you know, something, I guess, inexplicable and indescribable. So that's something enjoyable to look forward to. Please don't share your photos of that or hashtag those. Actually, no, you might win a prize if you do, so feel free. Yeah, so that's some of the major things. People will definitely have ups and downs in their moods. We're so used to having that constant intake of food, and you know, the comfort that comes from it. So the juice is really nice because it does give you that energy and that sort of little sugar hit that you need, as opposed to a water fast. But there's no doubt that you'll have, it's such a big change from our normal day-to-day life that there's no doubt you'll have ups and downs of mood. So feel free to share that with us and share your frustrations and your joys and your ups and your downs. That's what we're all here for in the community. And what else will people experience? Well, goodness knows, we'll see. We should start to see, 7 days is not a really long fast, but people will still start to see really positive changes in areas of their health that they might not have expected it. So if it's that you've had eczema or psoriasis or some sort of skin condition or chronic aches and pains or headaches, or, you know, things like that may start to change for you, may start to shift in a positive way. So that's really good. You might notice that you suddenly lose a lot of weight in a certain area that you've been carrying weight that you just can't shift. So that's also a really positive thing. You might just notice that you feel great, or you feel awful, or whatever it is. So yeah, feel free to share away. And if you've had previous experience with doing a juice fast or a juice cleanse, then please post your experiences below so people can know more about that, and you know, sort of start to see all the different things that they might come in contact with. One of the trickiest things for a lot of people, as I was saying, is just the fact that they're not eating. So Alicia has included in your Green Mama juicing plan, if you've got one of those, some great juices, and some of the best ones are actually, or some of the ones that will help you get through the hard times, juices which more closely resemble food. So, for example, a really nice tomato juice with a bit of ginger and a bit of garlic and lemon and parsley really resembles a gazpacho or a tomato soup. Or one of the cool things you can do is still juice, so it's still easy for your body to digest. It's still full of great stuff that's really good for you. It's just not hot, and it's just you know, it's not thick or anything like that. However, it's got that flavor that we're really used to. So one of the things that I would suggest to people, if you really miss food, tip the juice into a bowl and eat it with a spoon, and you'll be so surprised how physiologically that changes your experience and how satisfied you feel from that meal. Probably one of the things I didn't talk about in the last video, which I'll just briefly say now before I finish, is one of the important things about juicing is that it's raw. So even though it would be lovely to heat up that tomato soup and eat it, it really does change the experience. If I'm sure that, you know, most people haven't thought about having anything but cold juice, but just so you understand the reason why that's important. When we cook food, it changes the enzymes and the proteins and the nutrients and the way that our body uses them and digests them. And because most of our diet is a cooked diet, just in general, this is a really nice chance for your body just to get raw protein and raw nutrients and raw vitamins and minerals from raw cold pressed, or hopefully cold pressed or centrifuged juice, if that's your only option. And it means that it gets a whole different variety, and very often the best variety of goodness from different fruits and vegetables that it can possibly get. And when food is cooked, it essentially is dead, for lack of a better word. When food is raw, it still has a whole different energy and a whole different life inside of it, which does impact our body in a way that's not just related to the chemical compound or the nutrient and vitamin profile in that food. It actually has an energy or a life inside of it that our body can then use in a way that's probably, you know, not the common way that people think about how food affects us. So yeah, that's also really important, just to understand how that can help you feel awesome over the next few days. I think I've kind of covered everything, so I'll sign off now. But yeah, as I said, any questions, any comments, any experiences, please post them below. Stay connected. Keep hashtagging so you can win great prizes. And thank you all for being on board, and good luck.